Hey everybody, Chandler Bolt here, and we are going to get kicked off in just about 90 seconds or so. First off, if you could just post in the chat box and let me know, A, that you can hear me, and B, that you can see me. And then once you post that in there, also just let me know where you're tuning in from. All right, guys, if you're just joining us, we're going to get kicked off here in just a bit. If you'll first post in the chat box, let me know that you can hear me and that you can see my screen. You should see a slide here, and we'll be getting kicked off here in a second. Then also just post in the chat box where you're tuning in from. Sweet, rolling in. All right, sounds like you guys can hear me. You can see the slides. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, so we're going to get started here in just a second. We'll let the final stragglers roll into here. We're going to be talking about how to write, market, and publish your first best-selling book in 90 days or less, and how to use that book to grow your six-figure income. We got a packed house today. I'm really excited for this. We're going to have a lot of fun. We got Kathy, we got Deborah from California, we got April from Michigan, we got Sue from Indiana. We got a lot of folks here today. So thanks for joining me, guys. I know we're coming up on the new year, so this is a hot topic, right? Writing a book, finally write a book checked off your bucket list. So that's what we're going to be diving into here today. Now, I know there's three types of people on this webinar today. There's some of you who are thinking about writing a book. Maybe you know you need to, or maybe it's that New Year's resolution for next year. Some of you have already started, maybe even you're a few chapters into your book. And then some of you, you've already written it, maybe you're scared to publish it, or you haven't pressed publish yet. Well, my goal is, no matter which one of those buckets you fall into, is to help you take your life, your confidence, and your income to the next level by writing and publishing your first book in 90 days or less. Now, if you stay until the end of this webinar today, I'm going to show you how you can get Kindle Trend absolutely free. It's a pretty snazzy little software. So I'll show you that at the end, so stick around with us. Now, before we get kicked off here, a little bit of info about me. My name's Chandler Bolt. I'm the author of 5 best-selling books. I wrote the first one at age 19. Made $100 grand off of just one of my books. Taught thousands of people to write, publish, and to write, market, and publish their first book. So I know this stuff inside and out, backwards, forwards. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, so you guys are going to get some good stuff. I teach Self-Publishing School. That's my program that I run. And also all of this despite being a C- English student and someone who was never really that great at writing, and it just didn't come naturally to me. So I definitely did not think I would be where I am today in terms of teaching other people to write books, because quite frankly, my English teachers would vouch for this. I was just a horrible writer. So that's a little bit more on me. Here are some of the books that I've written on the left-hand side. You may have also heard of the Self-Publishing Success Summit. That's an event we put on earlier this year. We had over 30,000 people register for that event, and it was just really a really awesome event. So that's that. And a fun fact, I always like to say this because my brother plays in a rock and roll band called Need to Breathe, and they're a Grammy-nominated band. There's probably many of you in the audience today that have heard of them, and so he's the one on the left-hand side. But just kind of a fun fact, thing that not too many people know about me. Now, before we dig in, I want to hear from you guys. If you could post your answer to this question in the chat box, and that's, why do you want to write a book? Let me know. Go ahead and type that in the chat box. And And really, this is, why are you showing up to this webinar? Why are you interested in learning about this? Why are you interested in learning about the writing, the marketing, all the aspects of this? What's the purpose behind you wanting to do this book? And I also saw Ruth said, happy webinar Wednesday. Cool. Oh, awesome. Leslie said to help people not go through what I did. Robin said to share my story. Robert said to get my thoughts out in a way that people want to listen. And we got just answers pouring in here. So let's see. We got Rachel, help people and gain credibility for a new career. Share what I've learned through experiences and be my own boss. Awesome. These are great answers. So you know, a lot of these will look familiar, and these are the common purposes that I see behind writing a book. It's passive income. It's doing work once and getting paid on it forever. That's pretty cool, right? It's to be able to just get that check each and every month from work that you've done once. How about helping you break through as a side hustler, as an entrepreneur? Gaining confidence to take on bigger challenges, boost your income, give you publicity, authority, and respect. How about a little freedom, sticking it to the man and breaking free from that 9 to 5? Or grow your business by bringing leads and sales to you. And then lastly, this is the one, quite frankly, that many of you are probably thinking about, is let's write a book off your bucket list once and for all. 2016 is going to be the year we're going to get this thing finished and we're going to make it happen. So if that's your purpose, you can do that as well. So here's a little forecast on what we're going to be covering today. We're going to be covering the 3 secrets that I've learned over the years from writing and marketing and publishing a bunch of my own books, and also from helping thousands of people do theirs. So I'm going to show you how to quickly and easily write your book in a few hours. So no, it doesn't take a lot of time. I'm going to show you secret number 2, which is how to write the entire book without actually doing any writing. And then secret number 3, we're going to show you how to sell it, make it a bestseller, and use that book to grow a 6-figure income without a list, without an audience, or without any marketing skills. Now, New York Times, so one thing I did forget to mention also, I've put together a special offer for you guys that I'll be talking about at the end of this webinar. So we're going to have that, and then we're going to open it up into Q&A as well. So there we have it. Now, New York Times study says that 81% of people want to write a book, 81% of people. And the sad part is that less than 1% of people actually write that book. Less than 1% of people actually follow through on that wish. And so the question I ask is, why is it so difficult? Or maybe the better question is, why do people think it's so difficult to write a book? Well, the answer is, we see this. Dun, dun, dun. The dreaded blank page, and we run like hell in the other direction because we're just so scared. We're just so overwhelmed. We just feel like it's this big thing that we can never possibly overcome. So then what happens? Well, we come up with all these excuses, all these myths, all these doubts as to why we can't do it, why it's not the right time, or I don't have time. I don't have time. Chandler, you don't know my schedule. I'm not an expert. I don't have something to say. What if my book fails? Is this book actually going to sell? Is it going to make any money? Or I just don't even know where to start, Chandler. Or maybe it'll be a waste of my time. Or this is my personal favorite. The timing isn't right. So Chandler, I want to write this book. I'm telling you I want to do it, but it's just not the time. It's just not right. It's not the time right now. Well, these are the excuses I hear all the time, and I don't want these excuses to get in your way as you go on this journey. So I'm going to bust these excuses right up front. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, I don't have time, well, you can write your book in 30 minutes a day. I'm going to show you how on this webinar. I'm not an expert. Well, as Robert Kiyosaki said, the term is best-selling author, not best writing author. Will my book sell? Yes, it's going to explode your income. I don't know where to start. Well, good news, you're in the right place on this webinar. It'll be a waste of my time. No, it'll be the best career move that you've ever made. And the timing isn't right. Well, I'll leave this to the legendary Zig Ziglar. He says that if you wait for all the lights to turn green before starting your journey, you'll never leave your driveway. Now, I want you to think about that for a second. as I take a sip of water here. And, you know, I like to think of going on a family vacation. You pack all the kids into the car and the whole family in there. And for us, it was this old beat up Suburban with my family growing up. And, you know, you got the kids in there, you got the luggage, you got maybe the dog, and you pulled it into the driveway and you're like, all right, kids, here we go. It's time to go on this amazing vacation. But before we go, we're just going to wait for all the lights to turn green from here until our vacation destination. It's crazy, right? You would never do that. But it's, for some reason, that's the way people look at writing a book. They think to themselves, oh, I'm just going to wait till all the lights turn green, till this yellow brick road magically appears from here to the finish line, and the stars are going to align, and I'm not going to have any responsibilities. I'm not going to have any kids. I'm not going to have a job or any of these things, that they'll just magically disappear, and then I can just write my book and I won't have anything else to worry about. Well, I've got news for you. That's not going to happen, and that's not the case. So chances are you're going to have to start before you're ready. You're going to have to make that leap and get started on your book before you're totally ready. So there we have it. We busted those doubts, myths, and excuses. Now what I want you to do is post in the chat box, I'm in, if you can answer this question: can you suspend these doubts, myths, and excuses that I just busted, at least for the length of this webinar? So post in the chat box, I'm in, if you could do that, and we'll go ahead and move forward. Because if you can't, now would be a great time to exit the webinar, because nothing that I say for the rest of the time that we're together today it won't make sense. You'll look at it, you'll doubt it, you'll say, Chandler, that might work for you, but it can't work for me. You don't know my schedule. You don't know what's, you know, I'm not an expert, all those things. And you'll look at everything with a grain of salt, and you won't be open-minded to what I'm about to teach. Cool, we got Leslie, yes, I'm in. April, I'm in. Robin, I'm in. Joy, I'm in. Rachel, I'm in. I'm in. Cool, cool, cool. They're rolling in. So there we have it, folks. We're going to go ahead and get into the meat of this stuff. And what I want you to do now is go ahead and turn off your notifications, Facebook chat, Skype chat, whatever distractions that you may or may not have up and running. Go ahead and turn those off. I'm going to need your undivided attention for the length of this webinar, because I'm about to cover a lot of good stuff, and I don't want you to miss that. So go ahead and close out all of that. Get something to take notes, because we're going to be moving fast. Now, stuff you guys are about to learn, most people discover this the hard way. They struggle through this, and they maybe never even make it out the other side. But you guys get to cheat. You get the easy way. So I just want to give you a preview of what you're missing out on. And you're really not missing out on much, because this stuff sucks, and this is the stuff that most people go through. They start writing their book without a plan. They write this long tell-all book and stumble through the process, and then launch the book with hope marketing. And then they do it the expensive way. This is the way that the publishers, the agents, and most people want you to believe that writing a book is actually like. You're going to have to spend years writing this book. You're going to have to spend thousands of dollars on an editor, formatting and design, and then buy 1,000 copies that'll sit in your garage and never sell. That's what they want you to believe. And that's the expensive way, spending thousands and thousands of dollars. But it's actually not the way that it is in the real world, not the way that it is if you self-publish, which is obviously, it's the best choice. And I'm going to be breaking that down in this webinar. So with that said, we're getting into secret number 1 here, which is how to quickly and easily write your book in a few hours, and do it even if you're working 2 jobs, raising 4 kids. Now, for this, I'm going to teach you lessons from when I wrote my book, Breaking Out of a Broken System, with my brother that I showed you earlier. Now, this was the very first book that I did, and we wrote this book in 1 week, and it was 225 plus pages, despite being a C English student, someone who hated writing and was a very, very slow writer. Even despite all that, we got this book done in 1 week, and it's very, very good. And I'll show you the method that I used. And I'm going to break this down into further detail. This method was mind map, outline, write. And with this method that I'm about to show you, you can easily get your book done in 1 month. Yes, 1 month, with 30 minutes to an hour a day. So here's how it works. Step 1 is to mind map. Now, You may or may not have heard of this. Mind map is somewhat of an elementary concept, but most people don't use it the way that I'm teaching here. And in fact, most people don't use it at all. And that's why they struggle through the writing process. Now, what you're going to do here with a mind map is you're going to take a blank sheet of paper, preferably a blank sheet of printer paper, and you're going to put your idea in the center of the page. So your book idea, what do you want to write about? What are you passionate about? What do you know a lot about? What is that thing that people keep asking you about, or that thing that you just get so fired up about? What is that? Put that at the center of the page. Then what you're going to do is you're going to branch out. So you're going to start drawing lines and circles, and this is really just a brain dump where you start to branch out and you think of everything that you can think about relating to that topic. So every story, every experience, every lesson that you've learned, thing that you could teach, thing that you could cover, a conversation that you have on a regular basis, frustration that most people have on this topic. What's a book that you've read? Just anything you can think of. And what's going to happen is you're going to start thinking of these ideas, and they're just going to spark, and it's going to just go out and out and out. And you're going to continually spark ideas. And it may look like this. It may even look like this. And I'll tell you, chances are it's actually going to look way messier than this. These are two neat, tidy outline or mind map examples. Mine usually look a lot messier than this. But don't think about that. It can be as messy as you want it to be. And what's going to happen when you go through this process, this happens every single time, is there's an epiphany. I see it time and time again when people go through this process. The book basically writes itself because you've done the pre-work. And what you're going to realize is that you have tons more material than you think you do. Even for people who have no book idea or an idea that they can only write 15 to 20 pages about, trust me, you've got enough for a full book. I hear this time and time again. People say, Chandler, I've got this idea, but there's no way it could be a full book. Well, yes, it can be, and you'll see that when you go through this process, when you go through the mind map process. Now, is this making sense, guys? We're going to go and move into step 2. This is the outline. So what's going to happen is you're going to get this mind map, and you're going to start to see some common themes and some common sections and groups of ideas. What you're going to do is you're going to start to group those into sections. So then you're going to have 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 overarching sections. And then you'll be able to break out under those sections and individual chapters. And this is going to be your chapter roadmap for your book. So you can see an example of this on the screen here. This is for my book, Breaking Out of a Broken System. You see we got the mindsets, actions, influences, momentum, and money. I know it's like basically impossible to see those last couple ones. But you see we broke it out and we broke down into chapters underneath that. And that's moving from the mind map phase into a little bit more organized structure of this outline. And this doesn't have to be perfect. This is going to change. This is a little bit of a moving target. So don't feel like you have to lock this in and this is it for the entire time you write the book. No, this is flexible as you write. Then we're going to move into step 3. Write the dang thing. Now, most people think this is the hardest part. Why? We talked about this because they're staring at a blank piece of paper, not you, because you've already done the pre-work. Now, you're going to write it by repeating this 3-step process chapter by chapter. So let's say, for example, your first chapter, you're going to say, okay, mind map, 10 minutes, everything you know on that chapter. Then you're going to turn that mind map into an outline for 10 minutes. Then you're going to write for 40 to 60 minutes. So there you have it, a chapter an hour, very, very, very realistic, and you can do it easily. And this is exactly what we did during that week of writing. Is at first maybe it would take us 1 hour and 40 minutes to write a chapter, and then a little less, and then a little less, and then a little less. And that's where we got down to where we're writing about a chapter an hour. So you do the math. If you're looking to write, let's say, a 15-chapter book, 15 hours of writing, then go back and do a little bit of editing later. So that's not very difficult once you've done this pre-work and once you get in there. Now you may be thinking, Chandler, I've heard about mind maps before. They're not really my cup of tea. I just want to get in there and start writing. I was the same way. Quite frankly, that's why I was not a good writer. As I said, hey, that mind mapping stuff sounds stupid. Why would I do that and waste my time when I can just get started writing? Well, I can tell you why. It's because it makes a big, big, big difference. And Hannah Latonic, she said, originally I despised mind maps. Now I love mind mapping. I can see my book, section, or chapter come to life without writing a single word. I went from 0 to 13,000 words in 2 weeks just by mind mapping and outlining. So what's going to happen when you go through this 3-step process is while everyone else is staring at a blank page, you will quickly flesh out your outline the same way you'd explain it to someone if you were standing and talking with them in person. And now writing the book's easy because you already know exactly what to put on paper. As I said earlier, you've got your chapter by chapter roadmap that you can follow to get this book finished. Now, the question I get here is, what if you hate writing, or what if you're a better speaker than you are a writer, or maybe you're just bad at writing? Well, good news is you don't have to write anything, and yes, I'm serious. I'm going to show you how. Now, you guys getting this? Everything making sense so far? I know I move fast and I talk fast, but everything making sense? All right. Sweet. So let's keep moving right along. Now, for my most recent book, I didn't do any writing. I just spoke the book into a phone, 3 steps, and this book's brought in thousands of dollars and leads month after month after month. Pretty cool, huh? Well, secret number 2 here is how to write the entire book without actually doing any writing, which is a big plus if you hate writing, like I said. Now, here's how to speak your book in 3 steps. And first important thing to note here is you need to do the pre-work. So you need to do the mind map and the outline up front. That's a big mistake I see people making, is they say, all right, I'm going to speak this book, but then they don't do the pre-work. So what happens? They just ramble. Next thing they know, they're halfway into the book and they don't know what they're saying. And quite frankly, no one else does either. And so it just doesn't work. But if you go through the mind map and outline process, what you're going to do is simply replace the last step of writing with speaking. So this is it here. So you do that prep, and then you'll speak the book. So you'll take your outline and you just go chapter by chapter and speak the book. So you can do this in your voice memos. You can do this in any voice recording device or software. Pretty simple. If you've got a phone in your hand, if you've got a computer that you're watching this webinar on, all of those have voice recording software. Then step 2 is to get it transcribed. So there's Dragon Dictation. There's all kinds of other softwares or solutions that dictate and transcribe for you. They do it for you. But my personal favorite is Rev, and it's Rev app or rev.com. And what happens here is Rev is it's an actual person at the other end doing your transcription. So if you got a funny accent or a Southern accent like I do, then you don't have to worry about that coming through and it not transcribing it correctly. They'll transcribe it, and it's $1 per minute of audio that you send them, but you just send it in there and they take care of it. They'll get it back to you within 24 to 48 hours. And then what happens? Well, you've got stuff to work with. You've got a script and you've got a rough draft that all you have to do is polish it off. So the difference, like I said, is you finally feel like you have momentum. So rather than staring at that blank page, that blank Word doc, now you've got text to work with. You've got some stuff that you can move around and mold into a really good book. And you'll be able to effortlessly write your book in a few hours. So how quick can you do this? How quick can you go through this process? Well, the ideal length for a book is 15 to 25,000 words. And the average person speaks about 150 words a minute, unless you're like me and you speak really fast. And so do some simple math here. That means you can easily speak your book in as little as 1 hour and 40 minutes, up to 2 hours and 47 minutes. So basically, in a handful of hours in an afternoon on a Saturday, you can speak this book and you can have a rough draft. Then just polish it off, and editing is 100 times easier because you already have a completed document to work with. Now, Pat Flynn, I was actually just on the phone with him last night, and he's got a new book coming out that's really exciting that he's been working on, and he's been using this exact process to speak his book. He says, I've been able to flow much better with my voice than I am with my keyboard. I've got thousands of words that are coming out through each of these sessions through dictation. Now, if it works for Pat and it works for me, I know that it can work for you too. So moving right along. Now, is everything making sense so far, guys? If you just type yes in the chat box, type any questions that you have. We'll also have some Q&A at the end of this. All right, here we go. So now that your book's done, what's next? Now it's time to sell it. And now it's time to market this thing, make it a bestseller, and use this book to grow a six-figure income without a list, without an audience, or any marketing skills. So to kick off this portion, I'm going to tell you about the shotgun versus the rifle approach. Now, if you know anything about a shotgun, you know that it's a singular shell that has a lot of mini pellets inside of it. And so basically what happens when you shoot a shotgun is it kind of sprays all over the place. Whereas a rifle, it's much more focused. It's a singular bullet that goes down a long barrel, and you can target shoot from a mile up to a mile away. And you may be thinking, Chandler, what the heck does a shotgun and a rifle have to do with marketing a book? Well, I'll tell you what. Most people take the shotgun approach. So most people come and they say, I'm going to do everything I can to market my book. So the shotgun approach is basically a scattered method. And it says, okay, I heard I need an author page. I'm going to do that. I heard I need to run a Facebook ads. I'm going to do that. I heard I need an email list. I'm going to do that. I heard I need Twitter, Facebook. I need to be on Periscope. You know, all these things. And they just try to do everything. What happens? Well, you've heard the saying, jack of all trades, master of none. They spread way too thin, and none of it works. Versus the rifle approach, that's focusing in on a handful of marketing techniques that actually work, that actually sell books, not the stuff that people tell you works, but the stuff that actually works. So it's the 80-20 principle, the Pareto principle, focusing on the 20% of things that yield 80% of the results. And that's the rifle approach, and that's what I'm going to teach you is the rifle approach. And I'm going to have to remind you this throughout is don't worry about all the other stupid stuff that are just distractions that will not move books. We're going to focus in on what works. That sound like a plan? All right. Now, if you follow this approach, you'll realize that less is more, and you're going to get much further by focusing on the few things that move the needle. So first up, as we begin marketing our book, first we want to define that purpose, and we want to purpose our book. Now, you guys mentioned this at the top of this webinar. You put this in the chat box. We had some great answers. What is it? Passive income, leads, authority? Is it a passion project, business growth, to grow your network? Any variety of those answers. Well, you want to determine the purpose behind your book, because that's gonna control your marketing. That's going to guide your marketing and really focus you in on what is best for your situation, for your book. Now, I'll give you some examples here so that this makes a little bit more sense. One example is from my book, The Productive Person. Now, the purpose for that book was for it to bring authority and to grow my network. And so what we did is we priced the book accordingly. We gave away a lot of free copies of the book, and we didn't really care much about the royalties from the book. We just said, hey, this is a glorified business card. And that was the purpose of it. And so that drove our marketing. And even despite that, the book still brought in $5,000 a month and 4,000 leads. Then we have breaking out of a broken system. And it sounded like we had some passion project people on this webinar. Well, that's exactly what this was for me. This was a charity project and a passion project. And so all the proceeds from this book went to charity. They went to Palmetto Medical Initiative, and for every book that was sold, a pill. A pill was bought, a life-saving malaria pill for someone in a third world country. So buy one book, save one life. And that was our marketing message. That's what we drove through the marketing of the book. Book launch. This is a recent book of mine. The purpose of this book was to bring in leads, authority, and business growth. And I'll show you some stats from that coming up. But that's exactly what it did. And so we knew we're going to price this book accordingly. We're going to drive our marketing to bring in leads, to establish this as an authority, and to grow the business. And it did that. I mean, if you ask pretty much anyone, we are the authority on writing, marketing, and publishing your first book. That book has 540 something reviews on Amazon. I mean, it's the best and most popular book on its topic. So once you've got the purpose, we're going to get into some marketing. So this is the fun stuff. This is the stuff that I really enjoy, and this is the stuff that jazzes me up. I mean, I just love this stuff. So I'm going to show you guys a case study of the very first book that I published, and this is I did this with no audience, with no track record, no nothing. And this was The Productive Person. And this was despite having every excuse in the book that we talked about on the top of this webinar. I was young, I didn't have an audience, I wasn't an expert, you know, I didn't have the time, I was in college and I was running a business, you know, all those things. And despite that, still put out the book. As you see here, it hit #1 in all of time management on Amazon. And it was there for a very, very, very long time. We dethroned David Allen's Getting Things Done, the Productivity Bible, and you can see it's #1 hot new releases and #1 top rated. And this was, the funny thing here was David Allen actually, you see the price, or it's kind of small, you might not can see it, but his book's $8.99. Right after this, he dropped his price to $3.29, which was cheaper than our book, to try and regain that top spot, and we actually held him off. So that was kind of exciting, and that's when I realized the power of this book marketing stuff and the power of the stuff that I'm about to teach you. Now, tell a quick story here. So this is me here snowboarding. I don't know if we have any snowboarders or skiers in the house, but this is me in Austria, and I was studying abroad. I was studying with my school. It was kind of I had some scholarships, so it was kind of a cheap way to see Europe. And I'm here snowboarding and just having a good time and stuff. And this is right around the time that we launched The Productive Person. And I remember being on the slopes, and actually I was, if you look to the right-hand side there, I was on the ski lift. So I was with some friends, and they'd heard about the book, and they said, "Chandler, I heard you launched this book. That's pretty cool. It sounds like it's going really, really well. Like, you want to tell me a little bit more about it?" Like, and then just started asking all these questions. And one of the last questions they asked was, "Is the book actually making any money?" Like, I heard you don't really make money from books, Chandler. Like, is this book making any money? And I thought for a second. I said, you know what? We were out here snowboarding yesterday, and the book brought in over $400. And it was as if, as I said that, as those words came out of my mouth, that I realized what was happening. It was the light bulb moment for me, and I realized, holy crap, this is passive income, right? This is something that I've done once. I was snowboarding yesterday, and I made more than enough money to pay for my lift ticket and you know, like my next weeks of expenses, and that's coming in every single day. And the book started selling 80, 100, 170 copies a day. That's when I realized, okay, this isn't my grandma and my mom and her friends anymore downloading this. This is people all around the world, and I can help them. They're reading my book, they're getting value, and their lives being changed. And I'm also getting money every single day for this. So that was a pretty cool moment for me, and something that, it's one of those things where once you see it, you can't unsee it, and it's kind of like you've gotten bitten by the bug, and it's impossible to get rid of it. And to answer that question, did it make any money? Yes. Month 1, it brought in $6,600. Month 2, $4,400. Month 3, $3,100. Month 4, $2,500. Month 5, $3,400. Excuse me. And the book kept bringing in passive income month after month after month after month. And this is actually what paid the bills when I dropped out of school to start my own business. So this paid the bills and kept my head above water. And you can see this is exact statements from direct deposits from Amazon right here. So pretty cool, right? To be able to do work once and get paid on it forever. And I'm going to show you how to do this. I'm going to break down the marketing of the productive person. Because like I said, I had no list, I had no audience, no credibility, no reason why people should pay attention to what I was doing. So here we go. We're going to break this down into 3 steps, and I'm going to just give you a brief overview, and then we'll dive down into the nuts and bolts. So step 1 is to build buzz before the launch. Step 2 is to position your book for success. And step 3 is to execute the launch and have a strong start. All right. Now, step 1, build buzz. What you're going to do here, it doesn't matter if you're not on email, if you're not on social media or any of those things. You can do this in person. You can do this via email. You can do this social media. You can do this a number of ways. But what you're going to do here is you're going to make people feel like they're behind the scenes of your book launch. So kind of like, I like to think of it like a Hollywood premiere, you know, leading up to a movie launch, and you'll hear about they're working on it. You'll hear the actors that are in it. Then maybe you'll see a teaser. You'll see a trailer. There'll be a buildup. There'll be red carpet premieres. There's all these things that are building buzz up into the book. And now, obviously, you and I, we're not major Hollywood producers, and we definitely don't have the budget like that. But we've got a ton of free resources at our disposal that we can use to build buzz and to get people excited about the book up front. I'm going to show you some more on this here in just a sec. But I like to think this, like, if you've ever heard of Gary Vaynerchuk, he's kind of a popular personality, talks a lot on marketing, and he talks about this concept called jab, 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 right hook. And what it really is give value, give value, give value, ask for the sale. And that's exactly what's happening here when you're building buzz. You're getting people excited. You're getting people involved with your book launch so that by the time your book launches, they feel like it's their book that's being launched. And they're excited to help. They're excited to buy it, to leave a review, to share with their friends, and to spread the message. So step 1, build buzz. Now, step 2 is position your book for success. Now, what we're going to do here, you remember the rifle approach? Well, we're going to focus only on Amazon, at least at first. And I'll tell you why. It's because 70% of all book purchases are through Amazon. Amazon has this pretty amazing ecosystem where you don't have to have an audience. You don't have to have an email list or anything. You can just tap into their ecosystem. There's, I think the number is 100 million people in their database with a credit card on file, and they can literally, with one click, buy your book. So I'm sure many of you in the audience today, you know, I mean, you do one-click buys on Amazon. I'm sure whether you're sitting on the toilet, driving down the road, sitting in a waiting room, we're just buying stuff, right? We're just going through and saying, yep, I'll take that. Yep, I'll take that. Sure, why not? And Amazon's billing our credit card for this stuff that we're just aimlessly buying, especially around time, the holidays. And guess what? You get to tap into that ecosystem of buyers. You know, you've got Google, that's good. That's a search engine of browsers, but I like Amazon a lot better because that's the search engine of buyers and people who have a credit card attached to their account. Here's another bullet under step 2 is go into a market where books already exist. This is a common myth. Hey, Chandler, this is a crowded market. Maybe I shouldn't go in here. Maybe I shouldn't write this book. Well, I've got news for you. If there's a lot of books in that market, that means that people are buying them. There wouldn't be books there if they weren't buying them. So don't let this deter you. This isn't a must-have. Like, it's okay if there's not a ton of books on your topic, but don't let that scare you off. Model what's working. You can see what people are using, what kind of covers, keywords, categories, all that good stuff are people using. You can model that for your book. And then lastly, get specific. The worst thing that you can do is be broad with your book. You want to get specific and niche down. So I'll give you an example. For our book, The Productive Person, we wrote, instead of just saying, okay, time management, this big, broad category, we're going to write about productivity hacks and schedules for entrepreneurs or for people who control their work-life balance, or sorry, who control their schedule. So that's who we wrote to, specifically to them. So get specific. As they say, the riches are in the niches. All right, step 3, moving right along. We're going to execute the launch. Now, one of the best ways to do this is to form a launch team of family and friends. So basically what a launch team is you have people apply to be on your launch team. And basically what they get is they get the book ahead of time. They get an advanced copy. They get to see the behind the scenes of a successful book launch. They get to surround themselves with like-minded people and people that believe in your purpose, that believe in your vision, other people that are on the launch team. And you can even do stuff like put their name in the book. People tend to like that, and other things like that. And that's what they get. What they agree to do is read the book ahead of time, leave you a review on Amazon during the day or the week of the launch, and then also share the book, let other people know about it, that sort of thing. So it's a very, very valuable group of people. And this could be your colleagues, your friends, your family, anyone that you know that might want to support your message and support you launching a book. And you'd be surprised here. People will come out of the woodwork to help you. I know a lot of people get scared when they go through this process. They get scared when it comes to here because they're worried about, like, oh man, I don't want to ask people for help. Well, guess what? People are glad to help because chances are they want to write a book too, and they're just too scared to do it. And they're so excited when you're taking that leap of faith that they want to do anything they can to help you succeed. You're going to get as many reviews as possible. This weighs highly in Amazon's algorithms is reviews. And as part of this process, when you're building the launch team, that's going to help with reviews. So there, done. Focus your efforts on week 1. This is how you have a strong start. What will happen here is Amazon's going to start helping once you get your book over the tipping point. So once you have a strong start, Amazon's going to kind of turn their head and say, oh, interesting, this book's doing well. And then they'll start sending out emails about it, doing things like that. So that's what's really, really powerful is you're tapping into that ecosystem, and Amazon pitches in there. So to recap this case study, and we'll move on to some more. Step 1, build buzz before your launch. I showed you how we did that. Step 2, position your book for success. Step 3, execute the launch and have a strong start. And here's what happened for me with no audience, no nothing, is 5,247 downloads in the first 3.5 days and $6,639 in month 1. Now, not only that, what I didn't realize is that was just the tipping point. That was just the tip of the iceberg. The opportunities continued to come in. So then I started getting interviewed for top podcasts because of my book. I got featured on the Huffington Post and other top sites because of my book. I was offered a 6 to 7 figure digital publishing deal, built a 4,000 person email list, started a product line on the back end. And this is the most important one, is my book finally gave me the confidence in what I was doing. It gave me confidence to take on bigger projects, and it made me believe, like I'm sure some of you can relate. I was tired of seeing these side projects fail and just waste away into oblivion. And I was just ashamed and embarrassed because it just kept happening over and over and over again. And I was just, it really bummed me out. And what happened is when I saw this book succeed, I was able to look around and my friends were like, oh man, this is awesome. This is so cool. My parents were proud of me and telling their friends. And it was just like, it's the intangibles that it feels kind of funny saying them out loud. But if we're being honest with ourselves, which I hope that you are, this is the stuff that really matters. This is the stuff that makes a long lasting impact beyond just selling books, beyond just making money, passive income month after month. So the chicken or egg conundrum that people ask about a lot of times is, hey, I hear that I need to build an email list. I hear that I need to build a platform. So do I do that first or do I do the book first? What I don't know what to do here. Well, I say you don't need a list or an audience because a book is going to build that list and that audience for you. Okay. Now, moving right along here, what happens when you follow these steps? I'm going to break out some more case studies. So this is a case study of my recent book launch. And in the first 55 days, I followed these steps that I just showed you guys. The book brought in 3,334 leads for my business, so email addresses. It brought in $92,000 over that in back-end revenue. So this is sales for my business. This is not even counting the thousands of dollars in book royalties that came in. This is sales for my business. So it can be a pretty powerful tool to bring in revenue on the back end. Not only that, but that helped me to get featured on Business Insider. You can see this article on the homepage of the Your Money section of Business Insider. And this is all about my book, about me, about what we're doing with Self-Publishing School, and how we're disrupting the publishing industry. And this is in large part because of my book and because of the recognition that I got from that. Now, here's some other success stories. Is John Lee Dumas, Entrepreneur on Fire. You may have heard of that podcast, or maybe you listened to it. Well, before he went through these steps I just showed you, he was getting 0, maybe 1 lead a day from his book. Afterwards, it was bringing in 5 to 10 leads a day, an extra $600 to $1,200 a day in revenue. Steve Windsor, if we got any fiction folks on the webinar today, well, Steve said, I've produced more in the last week than I have in the past 6 months. And this was on his fiction books that he was writing. So before, he dreamed of being an author, maybe like you, and he just never stuck with it. He never saw that book to the finish line. But after, he became a best-selling author multiple times, brought in $5,500 plus some book-related income, and averaged $3,000 a month in passive income. That's pretty cool, huh? Could you imagine that for yourself? What would that do for you if you were able to do this same thing? $3,000 a month in passive income. I don't know about you, but for me, that pays the rent and pretty much all my expenses, which is awesome from work that you've done once. Pretty cool, huh? We got Lise, who said, I spent 6 months on the sidelines. Before, she traded her hours for dollars. I'm sure some of you can relate. And she spent 6 months trying to figure this stuff out. Afterwards, after following this stuff that I just showed you, she became a best-selling author. She made $12,424 in book royalties. Add in some book-related income, it brings it to over $18,000, and then bring it in $3,000 to $4,000 a month. Pretty cool, right? So how did they do it? Well, they had a step-by-step blueprint to success, just like you did, just like I've covered on this webinar today. Now, we've been moving fast. I like to move fast, and we're going to open it up to a Q&A here in just a bit. But I imagine this webinar has felt a little bit like this. Now, it's probably felt like you're drinking water from a fire hose, and I've been throwing a lot of information at you. And I imagine it's felt like this, but if you've learned this much in under an hour, we're at about the 47-minute mark here. Imagine how much easier and faster you can write and publish your first book if you had the same system that those people that I just showed you that they followed, and the system that I teach, which is Self-Publishing School. So if you're really looking to get your book done in less than 90 days, if you're looking to get this book done in 2016, I'm going to take a couple minutes to tell you about Self-Publishing School, and also going to tell you about a special offer that I've put together for you guys. Just you guys on this webinar. This Self-Publishing School is not open to the public right now. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about that, like I told you at the beginning of this webinar, and then we're going to move into some Q&A. So now, Self-Publishing School, it's the only tested and proven 90-day system that guides you through the process. You'll be able to write your book, publish it, turn it into a bestseller, and then use the book to get success, income, and freedom, passive income, just like I showed you with your book. It's everything that you need from A to Z. I'm talking video trainings, PDFs, outlines, templates, you name it. You'll be able to go from book idea to bestseller in 90 days. We've also got a couple things I'll tell you about in a second. Now, I know this system gets results. I've used this exact system that I'm going to show you inside Self-Publishing School to write 5 best-selling books, to build a 7-figure business. Our business hit $1.3 million already this year, and to help thousands of people with their books. And this was all in just 2 years. Now, who else does this work for? It's worked for failed writers, bucket listers, aspiring entrepreneurs, coaches and speakers, financial advisors, and medical professionals. This worked for fiction authors like Steve, you name it. Now, Chelsea Miller, she was a 20-year-old college girl from a small town in West Virginia. It worked for her too. She'd never written more than a short-term paper. People told her, Chelsea, you're too young. You don't have enough experience. You'll never become an author. But she decided to join Self-Publishing School. She found her book idea. She wrote the book, and she launched it in just 11 weeks. And guess what? She got featured in Women's World magazine shortly after, and her book continues to bring in income to this day. Pretty cool, huh? Some might even say that that Self-Publishing School is better than House of Cards. I got a kick out of this. Hannah, she said, I start writing immediately rather than pacing in my house and doing nothing or binge watching House of Cards. She said, I just wanted to share with the community how much SPS has been a great influence in my life. It's one of the best damn investments I've made in a long time. You guys rock. I haven't had much to look forward to in a while. SPS has breathed new life in me. Pretty cool, huh? So for this special offer I put together, I've got a couple things for you. I've got Self-Publishing School lifetime access. I've also got our easy editing and book finishing masterclass, which this will help you hire and find a top editor. It'll save you a ton of money, cut the process down, and help you get your book to the finish line. I've got our bestseller book launch blueprint. This is the exact process that we use. I'm talking social media marketing blueprint, email templates, book marketing checklist, and our guaranteed formula for getting your book to #1. So recap what you're going to get with a special offer on this webinar is lifetime access to Self-Publishing School, your easy editing and book finishing masterclass, and the bestseller book launch blueprint. Total value of $4,491. But I was thinking as I was creating this for you guys, I said, what else might you need to be successful? Well, how about some outsourcers? I know that's very helpful, some people to do the work for you. So I've also included in this special offer our A-Team outsourcers list. So this is so valuable. This is a $1,497 value, and I'm talking the unlisted team of experts, some of the best kept secrets in the industry, people who do the work for you. This is going to save you tons of time, tons of frustration, tons of wanting to pull your hair out, and also tons of money because there's no more price gouging. One student this recently just saved $1,000 just like that, just on an editor. Remember those outrageous prices I told you at the top of this webinar? Well, guess what? You won't have to deal with any of that because these are people who charge very good prices. Now that we're talking book cover designers, editors, formatters, ghostwriters, you name it, anything you can think of. These are the exact people that I use. I'm working on a book for New York Times right now. These are the resources that I use. These are the resources our students use, the exact people. Now, in addition to the A-Team outsourcers list, what else might you need? Well, how about some accountability and community? I know that this is very, very important, and you do too, especially when we're talking New Year's resolutions. If you want to lose weight, get a gym buddy. If you want to write a book, get some accountability. So I'm going to give you a free month access in the mastermind community. This is a group of people that are very, very motivated. This is the best community I've seen anywhere. It's a group of people who are ready to support you and ready to support your book. Now, we'll help you get paired up with an accountability buddy. So you'll get, this is just our fancy term for an accountability partner. I'll give you access to a supportive community of people. And also, this is a big one because I rarely, if at all, do any one-on-one coaching. And when I do, it's very, very, very expensive. And so I actually get in here with the community every single week. We've got one tonight. And I get on for an hour and we're answering questions. We've got the community manager, we've got students, you name it, and we're just going through. And so it's a very, very valuable group of people. And not to mention, we talked about getting reviews earlier. Well, hey, you've got the SPS review list. We announce book launches in the community, and then there you have it, a built-in launch team and a built-in group of people to review your book. That's one of the most valuable assets to people that are launching their books, and that's why they love it. Now, what else? How about some personal coaching? I also put together this personal coaching package. This is a $1,700 value. And basically what you're going to get is a personal coach based on your needs. So this is a trained coach and a successful student from our program. And you're going to get 8 one-on-one calls with that coach. So this is huge. This is something I don't see anyone else doing. You're going to get on the phone with them and they're going to talk you through the process. They're going to answer your questions and they're going to help you get to the finish line, hold you accountable to get to the finish line. And then lastly, a little bonus, you're going to get a strategy session with me. Now, a little example of the power of coaching. Janine said, Monday I wasn't feeling like a writer. That was before my masterclass call. After we talked, the blinders came off and I knew what I had to do. The next morning, I dragged myself out of bed, 10,000 words completed. I had just lived through a life-changing experience. So to recap what you're going to get today in this special offer, you get lifetime access to Self-Publishing School, our easy editing and book finishing masterclass, my bestseller book launch blueprint, and then the bonuses that I just told you about. So the A-Team outsourcers list, a free month of the community, the personal coaching and strategy session, total value $7,985. Now, if I charged you that amount, I'm not going to, but I just want you to imagine this for a second. If I charged you $7,985 and all it did was bring in some passive income from your book, would that be worth it? Absolutely. If all it did was help you finally get your book out there, would that price tag be worth it? Yeah. If all that did was help you bring in thousands in client or business revenue, like someone I'm about to show you, would that be worth it? If all it did was save you tons of time, frustration, and money in the book process. I mean, we talked about the A-Team outsourcers list. That alone will save you a lot of money. If all it did was that, would it be worth it? And if all this did was give you confidence to take on bigger opportunities, confidence in yourself, confidence in what you're doing, would that be worth it? Well, you can see why this is a good deal at $7,985. And when we opened this up, Self-Publishing School, to the public, it was $3,000. But because you guys are on this webinar today, I've put together a very special price for you, and it's only $19.97. So all you have to do is go to self-publishingschool.com/webinar and check it out. We've also got some pricing options here. I just put this in the chat box and you guys can check that out there. We've got some payment plans here where you can spread out the payments. And then we also have a cheaper option that you can check out. That's if you don't need as much of the hand holding, or if you don't need the bonuses or anything like that. And so you can check that out. And so we've got the pro and the master level. So just go to self-publishingschool.com/webinar. Check it out. Decide which version of the program is right for you. Go ahead and click that. Go in and put in your information and go ahead and join us. You'll get an email with all your login details. We'll get you in the community. You can even join the Hangout tonight and ask more questions and get started. So go ahead and head on over. Actually, one sec. Here's a surprise bonus here. Now, when you register while we're on this webinar today, you'll also get lifetime access to Kindle Trend. So this is a very, very powerful software that helps you tap in to the niches inside Amazon that bring in the most money. It helps you kind of see, hey, it lifts back Amazon's curtain and says, where's the money at here inside the Kindle store, and helps you position your book better. Now, this is a $444 value per year. And actually, lifetime access it's not available because they don't sell it. Normally this costs $37 a month, but we've worked out a very special deal. You'll get this absolutely free when you sign up for Self-Publishing School today on this webinar. So just to recap what you're gonna get when you take advantage of this special offer today, you're gonna get all the things I mentioned, plus these 3 bonuses, plus Kindle Trend, which is a $10,205 value, all for just $19.97, or we've got some payment options available there. So all you have to do, just go to self-publishingschool.com/webinar. Now, we're going to open it up to questions here in just a second. So if you want to go ahead and start posting your questions, go ahead. Emily Rose, this is one of our students. She emailed me and she said, hey, Chandler, out of all the substantial investments I made in online business programs, this was the only program that really took me from A to Z. It's so precisely laid out and simply structured that if one merely follows the steps, no matter how long it takes, it's a sure model for success. So thank you. Thank you for reviving my faith in online business programs. Now, this is something we see time and time again. People say, Chandler, I bought online business programs before and I didn't do anything with them, or maybe they didn't work for me. Well, yeah, that might be the case, but people, they're on the fence about joining Self-Publishing School, like maybe you are right now. And they said, Chandler, I was on the fence. I decided to join, and it's the best decision that I've ever made because yes, you took me from A to Z. And at the end of the program, I had a book to hold in my hands. I had something that I was proud of, that other people around me were proud of, and I had something that was bringing in income month after month after month. And I talked about bringing in client revenue. Well, Steve Darr, he said, I'm starting to quote potential clients 3 times the amount I used to. Before he went through this process, he struggled to get clients to pay him what he was worth. Maybe you can relate. But 4 months after putting his book out, he had 1,500 books. He had $1,500 in royalties and counting, brought in $17,000 in client work from people who came to him because of his book. And he tripled his rates. And now clients come to him, not the other way around. Now, Christy Whitman, that's her on the left-hand side there, she hit #9 New York Times by using the stuff that we teach in Self-Publishing School. So you're on the webinar today, you got 2 choices. First option is do nothing, not check out Self-Publishing School. It's 100% risk-free. Or learn more, check it out today. Go to self-publishingschool.com/webinar. You can try it for yourself for 30 days. We've got a risk-free trial. So you can try it. If it's not the best investment that you've ever made, all you have to do is ask for your money back and you'll get it. That's how confident I am that this program will help you. I've seen it happen time and time and time again. So if you're thinking about doing it, don't let that stop you because we do have this 30-day guarantee. So you can check it out. And if it's not for you, just ask for a refund and you'll get it. So head on over to self-publishingschool.com/webinar. And once you do that, go ahead and comment in the chat box. Let me know that you're in, and we'll do a little celebration dance. So self-publishingschool.com. We're going to open up to Q&A in about 2 minutes. So go ahead and post your questions here. So before we get to that, I just want to go over that. So the Self-Publishing Success Summit, I told you about this. This was an online event that I did. We had over 30,000 people register. And I asked some of the top speakers. These are very, very successful authors, successful business people, all that. And I said, what do you recommend for someone thinking about writing their first book? And here's what they said. So Brian Tracy, you may have heard him. I just finished his book, Eat That Frog, like 2 or 3 days ago. And he said, well, no one would expect to go into a kitchen and cook a dish without a recipe. Chandler, you and I teach recipes. We teach people how to. You can save yourself years of hard work by simply learning how to do it. So his recommendation, learn how, and learn from you, Chandler, because the very fastest way to get started in publishing is through self-publishing. How about Pat Flynn? We saw him earlier. He said, get somebody to help you and hold you accountable. I think that's the most important thing. So he walks his talk. I just talked with him last night, and he's working with an SPS student to help him finish and launch his upcoming book. And Jamie Tardy from The Eventual Millionaire, she says, Chandler, I could have done that in 3 months and it took me 2 years. Learn from someone else who has done this before. Learn from other people so you don't waste your time. So recap here. Here's what you're going to get. Lifetime access, the easy editing and book finishing masterclass. We got the bestseller book launch blueprint. We got the 4 bonuses here. Total value, $10,205+. You can get started today for just $19.97. Like I said, we also have some payment options as well. So go ahead and head on over there. Go ahead and put your info, decide which package is right for you. Put your info in, and then just let me know here in the chat box, and we'll welcome you. So with that said, we're going to open it up to a Q&A. So if you guys will just post your questions, and we'll start getting into that. All right. Okay, good question. So does this work if I want to write a novel or a fiction book? Yes, absolutely. We've had tons of successful fiction authors go through our program. We actually have a specific fiction coach. So, as part of this package, you get a coach. So we have a fiction coach that's specifically for that as well. So a lot of the principles that I teach are going to be the same no matter what. Some of the exact tactics and techniques are a little different, but we've got a coach that can guide you through that, as well as, it's pretty self-explanatory. All right, I'm really busy. How much time do I need to spend? Well, I thought we suspended that doubt or that excuse at the beginning of the webinar, but basically for this, we've designed it. It's step by step through the entire process. So it doesn't matter if you only have 30 minutes a day. That's what we've designed it at, is you can be successful with only 30 minutes a day, and you can go through the whole process, and we show you literally what you need to do day by day. So it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Oh, cool, good one. What if I don't have a book idea? If you don't have a book idea, don't worry. We actually, this mind map process that I talked about, we also go deeper in that inside the program. And so that helps you unearth those book ideas and come up with it. And Chelsea, that I showed you earlier, she joined without a book idea, without any idea about what she was going to write. And she found it. I've seen tons of people join the program without any ideas, and they're successful. Okay. Do I have to live in the US to be accepted? Oh man, excuse me. No, you don't have to. So we have students all over the world. I know that a couple weeks ago, we actually had accountability buddies meet, and they met in India. And one of the people was in India, another of the people was in New Zealand, and their family flew from New Zealand to meet up in India, which is just so cool. I think we've got a meet up in Texas coming up. We had a meet up a few weeks ago in Australia. So we've got people all over the world, and it doesn't matter what language you speak, or like if English is your first language or not, that's fine. We've got people from all over the world that are in the program and they're successful. Oh, great question. Oh, hold on, actually. Okay. That's another person asked, does this work only for nonfiction? So answered that. Do we help with printing the book? That's a great question. So we have a module in this course that shows you how to get it print ready, audiobook ready, all that stuff. So we walk you through that process. Absolutely. So all you have to do is go through that. But the important distinction here is that we're not a publisher, right? We give you the tools to publish yourself. So the great benefit there is we're not sticking our hands in your pocket. You get to keep all of your book royalties, and you get to keep ultimate control as you're putting the book out. Okay. I just wrote a book. How can I get it to start selling? Yeah, so this is a lot of the marketing stuff that I've taught on this webinar, and also we teach a lot of marketing stuff in the program. So I know a lot of people who have already written a book, or maybe they've written multiple books. I know one person that they'd already put out 30 books, and they joined the program, and instantly their first book that they did via the program was way more successful than all of those 30 books. So a lot of times we have people join a program who have already written a book, or who have even already published a book, and it's just not doing well because they recognize that they need to learn the right way, and then they need to learn the tools to do this right. And that's what we should, because we're really, really, really good at marketing. It's easy for us, and that's what we teach very well. So those people are generally really successful because we bring them in the program, show them how to rock and roll, and then they do great, right? All right. Oh, great question. So does this work for children's books? Absolutely, Catherine. This works for children's books, for fiction books, you name it. And we actually have some other people. I think I saw something last night from someone who was working on their children's book, and there's people in all categories of books. Aja asked, does Rev app help with dictating poetry? Poetry, absolutely. I mean, they'll dictate anything. So anything that you speak, they can turn it into text. Okay, Elaine, great question. What did it cost to put your book in print? Well, you can launch via Kindle, and you can launch via print, or you can do both. So there's no submission cost to get it live. The only cost to you are editing, formatting, book cover, and all that stuff. And even so, what's cool is for the print version, you can take what you have, and it just needs slight modification, and you can get it in print. Very easy, very cheap, it's a simple process. You don't have to be tech savvy or anything to go through it. And CreateSpace will do that for you. So they're a division of Amazon. They do print on demand, which basically means when someone buys the book, they print it, pack it, and ship it, and just send you a check. So they take care of all that, and that's actually free to enroll in that program, and they can just start printing your books just as soon as you want them to. All right. What if you want to do fiction and nonfiction? Would I be able to change coaches? Great question, Robert. So actually what I would recommend is picking one or the other. And we actually don't allow multiple books at the same time. And the reason for that is because people who do multiple books at the same time finish neither. At least that's what we've consistently found in our experience. So I would there's for your first book, it tends to be it tends to be harder to do fiction out of the gate, and if like you want to do both. So I personally recommend doing nonfiction first. I've seen people be successful that way in the program. It's like they do a nonfiction book and then they do multiple other fiction books. So that's fine. That works. And then yes, you can switch coaches later. What it would have to be though is kind of at the end after you've already done one of the books. So we won't let you just swap back and forth between coaches because that kind of serves nobody. We want you to take one book to the finish line first. Okay, so we'll take a last call for questions. If you haven't already, go ahead and head over to www.self-publishingschool.com /webinar. Go ahead and join while we're still on this webinar. Like I said, and you'll get access to all of those bonuses that I just talked about. Total value $10,205, and it's only $19.97. This is, like I said, this is not available to the public. And this is kind of your chance to kickstart on 2016, right? Let's get that book written, and we're going to show you how to do it and go all the way from book idea to bestseller in less than 90 days. So pretty fast paced. And it doesn't matter that the holidays are coming up or if you got trips or anything, you've got lifetime access, so you can come back and do your thing anytime you want, because the program will still be there. Like I said earlier, we also have payment plan options. So just choose the payment plan that works best for you if that's the route you want to go. And yeah, that works. Okay, let's see. Oh, great question. So what happens if I don't publish my book in 3 months? Yeah, you've got lifetime access to the program, so that's not a deal breaker. And like I said, you can pause and restart anytime you want. Okay, and do I need the master level? What does it give me that the pro level does not? That's a great question. So basically, the master level, it gives you more one-on-one coaching. It gives you our A-team outsourcers. It gives you a lot of other things that's some more hand-holding. And basically the way I say it is the master's level is more for the business builder or someone who wants to take it seriously and move quickly. And then the pro level is more for the bucket listers. So someone who maybe just wants to check it off their bucket list. And so, yes, you can do either one. In the pro level, you'll lose some of these bonuses, obviously, but it's still, I mean, what you need to get to the finish line if you don't need as much hand holding. Okay. Oh, this is a great question. So Joy asked, do you have to hire a designer, editor, and formatter for an ebook? No, you don't. So you don't necessarily need a designer, especially, and you don't have to have a formatter. A lot of times I'll recommend it. I know several of our students in the program, they just do it themselves. I personally would recommend an editor, but that could even mean someone that you know, or a friend, family, relative, whatever. So yeah, that's totally up to you. And I would hire someone to do the cover. So luckily we've got A-team outsourcers list here. So we've got people that can do any of that stuff for you at rock bottom prices, but also we show you in the program how that you can get someone, you can hire them yourself if you want to, and you can find a great price. All right, guys, with that said, we're going to go ahead and wrap the webinar. Thank you guys for joining me today. If you haven't already, go ahead and check out www.self-publishingschool.com/webinar. Check it out, figure out which version of Self-Publishing School is right for you. Go ahead and join us today. Like I said, this is a special offer just for you guys on this webinar. Self-Publishing School is not available to the public right now. So if you want to get in, if you want to kind of kickstart and kick 2016's butt and get that book written, get that income coming in, get that confidence, all the things that we talked about and all the examples and results that I showed you on this webinar, then go ahead and join us at Self-Publishing School today. I look forward to seeing you guys inside the program, and we'll talk real soon. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the training today, and I'll catch you later. Talk soon, guys.